Hello, friends. Yes, you get to see me full face instead of from underneath. Drago Dog Walk talks are temporarily suspended. Rain and phones just don't get along too well. So we're having a car drive talk, or maybe more like a car park talk. Anyways, so many things are happening, and yet we keep talking about the tomahawks because, I mean, literally, it amazes me that the pocket monkey media in the West has zero self-preservation instinct. I mean, literally, these people, they're not rich enough to have a bunker of their own, though I think most of these bunkers are going to be priority targets for nukes and or Areshniks, including Macron's 1,500 square meter bunker. By the way, for the Americans, that would be like a 15,000 square foot bunker. Yeah, compare that to your houses. And built on public money. Hey, they have zero survivability instinct. Either they're so stupid, and I think most of them are just really so stupid, they can't figure out what this is heading to, and they're celebrating, and they're not mentioning, they're not daring to mention that this could lead to a nuclear exchange from the first firing of the first Tomahawk that could exterminate all of us. But hey, I'm getting my bonus for this week, so screw that. Who cares? Yes, they really are idiots. Intelligence level of barely, I think, is even human level for the stupidest humans. That's what this pocket monkey press is. But they did do a good story, apparently, about Trump in Time. I didn't read it. I haven't read Time in many a decade, because most of Time is, it's one of those magazines that you really need to have a barf bag with when you're reading on just about any issue, and then some stomach pills. Just put the antacid down, straight down before you start reading. Yeah, and it hasn't gotten better with Time. Time magazine is a rag not worth the paper it's printed on. But apparently they did a story that Trump kind of liked, but they messed up his hair. But he does see the crown on his head. That's right. Now he can see the crown on his head, a floating crown. The emperor finally gets to see his crown, the emperor of humanity, of all mankind. Don't think that was a slip. Because if you actually look at the photo, there's nothing that looks like a crown on there. I mean, absolutely nothing. Yeah, you can't see most of his hair. I mean, a lot of his hair is, because the light is from behind, the hair is kind of transparent in its own way. But there's no crown there. There's absolutely no crown there. That's inside Trump's very broken brain at this point. I don't know how else to describe it. So yeah. So there's that mania of megalomania, mania величества, megalomania. Trump, go figure. Talk about Trump stopped wars. By the way, they had the big Sharm Sheikh peace summit yesterday. That's right, they signed it. Yeah, that's it. We're gonna have peace. Well, Israel sure as hell didn't let that go to waste for too long. Like 24 hours later, today, the Israelis killed murdered another 6 Palestinian civilians in northern Gaza who were inspecting their damaged houses. An Israeli drone launched a missile into them. There you go. Hey, you had 24 hours of peace. You got a bunch of people into kill zones, and we can go hunting again. That's what Trump's peace is worth, especially when you're dealing with people like Netanyahu and the cabal of psychopaths and maniacs around him. I'm sure this is just the beginning, because this will just continue to roll. They can't help themselves. These people cannot help themselves. They are satanic spawn at this point. The Israeli government is satanic spawn. They're psychopathic, messianic. They're hell-bent on mass murder. I mean, Netanyahu's even let slip, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, that his job is to make Greater Israel. And Greater Israel, if as Smutich, his Minister of Finance, I'm butchering his name, I'm pretty sure, said, that's the Euphrates to the Nile and everything in between, and that's not going to be a place for Arabs, Armenians, Christians, or anybody else to exist in. So that's it. So yeah, that war that Trump stopped lasted a very long time. The peace, it's already the next day it's already starting to fray. Trump, best way to describe Trump, because he's a participant and a mediator at the same time in all these wars that he's claiming to have stopped. Never mind, he can't figure out which countries are fighting whom and where they're located. But that's aside. Thankfully, most Americans can't either, because the vast Americans can barely find America on the map. That's what getting rid of a classical education system into the soup kitchen of brainwashing and numbing down that is the modern school system is. For Europeans, the British have gone down the same route. For some of my other observers, this may be a shock. I remember when I was still living in the U.S., there was a scandal when the state of Wisconsin, so this is back about 15 years ago, maybe longer, the state of Wisconsin forced all the English teachers, so the school English teachers, to take exams in English, grammar. 40% failed. 40% of the English teachers don't know English grammar, and they failed, and these are the people teaching the kids. I'd like to see the same thing done with math, sciences, and the rest. Well, yeah, that would show you just the quality of the teachers. And then you wonder why the U.S. has to import people with brain power to do any of the work, because don't have enough. Look, I remember so I was taking classes while I was still in service. I was taking my classes at NC State. I got 3 degrees from NC State. So this was doing my second degree was in computer science. BS in computer science. And just out of curiosity, I started counting by nationality the people in the classes. So 1/3 were Chinese, and these weren't American Chinese. Almost all of these were just fresh off the boat Chinese. 1/4 were Indians. And the remaining 1/8, when you took away the Latin Americans and a few of the Europeans, really had almost no Americans there. Because the American schools don't prepare American students to get into their own technical universities. They don't. And this was 25 plus years ago. That's right, 25 plus years ago. And you think it's gotten better? Of course not. This is how you control the people. When people are too dumbed down, and then they're too busy surviving, and they're too dumbed down to understand anything that's a deep conversation on anything. And then, they let you do whatever you want to do. That's how you control the population. Make them all individuals, because the individual, the ultimate individual, is the easiest thing to control. No, for those snowflake woke individuals, this will be that, the ones that get tattoos, identical tattoos all over their body like everybody else, color their hair the same way as everybody else, get the same nose rings as everybody else, because they're individuals, like everybody else. Yeah, so the easiest way to control anyone is to make them an absolute individual, because an absolute individual has no one but the state. They don't have God. They don't have the church that goes with God. They don't have family, because they've probably, unless the family is just as whacked as they are, they've ended all communications with them, because, those people, those Neanderthals, or whatever they want to call them that day. They don't have a lot of friends. They have the same bunch of angry, semi-literate morons around them that are just as miserable, just as drugged up as they are. And not necessarily they're doing illicit drugs. Come on, America is probably, if I had to guess, I'd say at least 1/3 of America is on antidepressants at any one time. Probably more than that. Somewhere I read a statistic that was America was 5% of the world population and used 70% of the scripts, so the subscription drugs, and that's probably been very conservative. So there's that. Oh, interesting news, by the way. Just to understand what Europe is turning into and how hypocritical Europe is. And never mind, yes, we Russians own a fourth of Europe, but we are not going to degenerate ourselves. We're Russians, we're our own civilization. We're a civilization state. We're the center of the Orthodox world. We have been for a very long time. We helped liberate quite a few Orthodox countries in our time. Romania, for example, Bulgaria, Serbia, inadvertently, those Serbs have always been close to us, but we put the pressure on that allowed on the Turks that allowed the Serbs to break free. Greece, it's quite a few. We got Georgia out of the hands of both the Persians at one point and the Turks, because it was split between different Georgian principalities were split between those, and so on. So anyways, but we are our own civilization state, but you can't say for Europe. But Europe is not monolith. So first of all, what we notice, what's forming in Europe right now, is the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's not reforming per se, but who knows what could lead in the future. But the states that formed up the Austro-Hungarian Empire are now forming their own bloc. You see Hungary, Slovakia, now Czech is joining that after the elections, and Austria, even though there's quite a few pushes for Austria to join NATO and so on, because there's quite a few NATO shills in the Austrian elites. But Austria right now doesn't seem to be going that way. Well, you start to see this conglomerate that was the old Austro-Hungarian Empire, and they're following basically their own course, which is away from Brussels and the dictates of Brussels. And then the dictates of Brussels. The Western Europeans, God, associating with these elites and all, you got to go take a shower, an acid shower, after take the next 5 layers of skin off of you just to feel clean after being anywhere near these people. I mean, these people are sleaze at the best. So they're demanding, by the way, that the pseudo Austro-Hungarian, the new Austro-Hungarian empire there, gives up on Russian oil and gas. Well, interesting statistics came out. 7 European countries have increased their consumption of Russian oil and gas. And the leading one, drum roll, is France. France increased its consumption by 40% to $2.2 billion, or euros in this case, about $2.5 billion. 40% increase. Oh, but and then there's the Netherlands that increased by 70% to $500 million. That's right. There you go, baby. Croatia's on there. Belgium, I believe, is on there. Portugal's on there. I'd have to go look the rest of the list. Well, actually, Belgium, Romania's on there. Romania, you figure that one out, and that's going through South Stream for gas consumption. Belgium, go figure. Belgium, which, by the way, is fighting very hard not to give Russia's frozen and soon to be fully stolen assets away. Why? Because while the Euro elites, this is how much they despise even each other. These people are the scum of humanity. They're like a bunch of rabid rats in a cage, right? Each one trying to bite the others to death to become the dominant rat. They want, of course, Belgium to hand over Russian assets as collateral on these loans to Ukraine, which will only be paid back when winning Russia starts to pay compensation. Yeah, let that one sink in for a second. What's the chance of that ever happening? Yeah, you kind of have to take Moscow for that. But good luck with your pipe dream. So, yeah, there's that. So the money would be stolen. I mean, this is what we're talking about. And don't think that Macron isn't going to get a couple extra rooms on his nuclear bunker. I added that on, and a few more slave servants to be underground with him. Because I think they'll probably kill him in the end. Because he'd have no, when I'm pretty sure the servants will probably just turn on Macron and his husband, husband, groomer either way, and just beat him down to death and take over the bunker. The irony of ironies. Yeah, well, I doubt if they've ever thought of that one, that could happen, a breakdown of society. They still think that they're going to be the kings of society when everything breaks down, and they have no survival instincts. They have no money. What are you going to pay? Here, have a chunk of gold. Oh, you can't eat gold. Oh, don't beat me to death with that chunk of gold. What are you? You're just going to give them some euros to the guards to lay down their lives for you? Yeah, okay. These people really are that stupid. A lot of times they're high on themselves. But yeah, so Belgium's fighting because they know when this is all over, if Belgium still exists, which is always under question, but if Belgium still exists when this is all over, and Russia comes looking for its money, the problem is nobody listened to Bismarck's wisdom. If they don't listen to Bismarck, Europe's been going to shit ever since Wilhelm II fired Bismarck. He should have kept Bismarck. Maybe it would have stopped World War I from happening. And the German Empire and Wilhelm the Second would have grown as an old man on the throne, not as a gardener in a little garden exile in Vienna, I think it was, or maybe Switzerland. I don't quite remember where he went to exile. But Bismarck said Bismarck was always pro a strong union between the Russian Empire and the German Empire, A. And B, Bismarck said very correctly, don't ever cheat the Russians. They will always come back to get what's owed to them. And Belgium knows this. And by the way, Belgium knows this so well that when Russia comes to get what it is owed, it will only be Belgium. Belgium that is overrun, that is becoming a minority. The Belgians and the Frisians are becoming the minority in Belgium. Come on, Brussels, I think the study was under 25, is 83% non-Belgian. Let that sink in. And Belgium would be owing Russia over $200 billion. They'd have to go rip out the gold and silver teeth out of everybody in that country. They'd make the first down payment. They're broke. They have nowhere near that money. But, everybody like Macron and Merz will be patting down in their bunker stashes with that. At least a portion of that. And I don't mention the narco goblin. I can't call him Green Goblin anymore. He's turned into the Black Goblin. He's evolving. The next level of goblinhood. He's reached it. He's broken into the Black Goblin. What's next? The Red Goblin? Oh, geez. You can't make this crap up. I mean, these people they're like bad comic book villains. They really, really are. It's like a script written for 10, 12-year-olds. Oh, my God. Oh, it's probably written by 10, 12-year-olds while we're at it. Or people with that mentality, anyways. So there's that. There's how that works. More for us, less for you. Don't do as we say, don't do as we do as we say. That's the European standard. Screw each other as much as possible. Oh, I'm sorry. Screw each other over as much. The first one works too, but that's not quite what I meant. Screw each other over as much as possible. And do unto others before they do unto you. The European Western motto, led by the world, the emperor of the world, the God Emperor of the world. You can almost see the halo with his crown and that freedom of speech piece. Oh, speaking of freedom of speech, in the U.S., So Jimmy Kimmel's gone. I never liked Jimmy Kimmel for the most part. Sometimes he'd say something funny, but for the most part, he had a very specific niche, a liberal niche. Bill Maher, which is an interesting guy. I'm not a huge fan of Bill Maher, but Bill Maher is old-time liberal. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but the funny part is Bill Maher hasn't changed, but he's now a center-rightist almost. Well, maybe he is becoming, because the liberals, and not just the American liberals, the entire Western liberal cultural pseudo-elite has gone so far off the deep end, that it's not even funny. By the way, I've been listening to this Australian doctor, Dr. Danny, professor, Dr. Danny Sawalski or something like that, Polish last name. I suggest everybody listen to her. She is a sociologist, and there's an interesting thing that she's talking about is elite breeding strategies of women, and how women undermine each other, and particularly elite women undermine women of the middle class and the lower upper class not to have children, because it makes their children much more valuable. So the strategies they don't follow, they will push on to other women. Career first, don't have kids, or choose men that are weak and feminine, and so on, while they're going after quite the opposite. It's an interesting sociological look at it, and feminism is the leading edge of that. And once you get rid of God, and you get rid of the church, so you get rid of your moral compass, it's anything goes. It's quite literally anything goes. It's a very interesting take on this, and I knew some about this. I mean, women give the worst advice to their best friends to lower their chances and up their chances. It's just like the good-looking girls go out with the fat ugly girl, and the fat ugly girl wants the crumbs that the good-looking girls drop, and the good-looking girls want to look better on the before guys, because they have somebody to be compared to, an ugly girl. And women do this. Women, I don't know if there's an actual true bonding on the way men have. I'm not talking anything sexual or perverted or anything like that. On the competition side, male competition for mates is much more open, and it's in your face. I mean, it's be the best you can be. While women's is much more subtle and conniving. But since society has become feminized, Western societies have all become feminized, we see what we see. And Russia's also suffering to a degree with this, because starting with the communists, when they started feminization in Russia, this has hit the birth rates. It's being recognized as that, and I was did an interview with, which I'm going to be posting probably today, with Member of Parliament Kuznetsov, and I've been talking to him also, because I've got a lot of ideas and things I've seen and other countries do in my travels, policies that work for developing, expanding the population. And there's two key points in this, and I'm hammering this home, and it goes against a lot of what the first part is becoming obvious. If you want to have more children, you have to put motherhood as the epitome of a woman's mission, is to have a loving, supportive family that raises children that are of exceptional quality. And the man has to be involved in this too, obviously. The more the man worries about his patrimony, the patriarchy, the more the man is involved and is supporting. But the woman's the epitome of being a woman is to be a caring mother, a nourishing mother. And if you don't do that, if you continue the crap that we've had for so many years, that the epitome of being a woman is working in some corporation that doesn't give a damn about you, it's going to fire you when you're in your 50s. Sorry, you ain't going to make 60 these days. They're going to get rid of you probably earlier than that with the AI coming in, and then go die off somewhere with your cats. But that's what society breeds. That's one. Two, villages. You want to expand society. You want to breed patriotic, religious, hardworking people. You have to expand villages and small towns. People need to live there. The concentration of people in cities, historically speaking, cities is where the population goes to die. It is. Cities are constantly shrinking in population, except for constant internal migration into those cities. The big families are all in the villages. They always have been. There's more room. There's less stress. You know the people around you. You can count on the people. There's more community. There's big yards for kids to run in. You want to add a few more rooms because you want to have some more kids. You just slap on a few more rooms in your house. Okay, you got to build them, but you get the point. Try doing that in a flat in the middle of a megalopolis, or even an average size city. You can't exactly slap on a few more rooms in the middle of a city, and move into a bigger apartment is usually so bloody expensive. It's insane. Never mind, you'll probably lose whatever ties you have, and even those ties are limited, because people in cities are like rats. They are under massive stress constantly, which also impacts testosterone levels and everything else, and wishing to form a society. And then you get the decadence that's just being constantly hammered in these days. So you got rid of God, you got rid of the church, and now it's just, hey, do whatever you please. So you wind up with having generations of adolescents that have never grown up to be actually men and women of any kind of stature. That's what you see in most of these cities. And the West is just leading the way. But it's not just the West. Actually, I'd say even leading the way more than ever is Japan and South Korea and Taiwan. They're really leading the way into extinction. And then the West is the second row coming in. Russia realizes that and working to change that mentality. You got to grow you got to make an opportunity for people in the villages and in the towns. And land out there is dirt cheap. Get the factories to go out there and just give people land. Hell, put a house on there for them, a starter house. If they want to expand on it, then they do it out of their own pocket. Give them a chunk of land. We've got so much land in Russia. It's not even funny. It's just ludicrous amounts of land. That's not, a lot of it is not being economically used. So it actually costs the government, because the government has to maintain it, patrol it, keep forest fires out, but it's not doing any kind of economic, it's not part of the economy. It's not doing any economic growth, producing anything. It's just empty. So we've got tons and tons of land. But anyway, if you want to come, that's my big suggestion. Villages, you could grow your own villages. But that's my suggestion and plan that I worked out, and I'm working with a couple of deputies and of Parliament trying to get that out. But it seems radical, but a lot of it just seems really radical, but it's not. It's historically how things have always been. The strongest population has always been in the villages. And yes, I've gone way off of the themes that I was going to cover. And last but not least, so I'm not bothering you too long on my thesis on how to improve your population, is Ben Hodges. Now, this is clown world level Ben Hodges. And I've mentioned this before. I was asked a couple of weeks ago on a show that was on Russian television, why all the wisest voices from the U.S. military are people that left as colonels, because they refused to become generals, because the American generals are a parasitical, moronic class. They're chosen for ass-kissing, chelpabitia. Chelpabitia is a Russian word for forehead banging. That's where you stand in front of your master on your knees and bang your head on the ground. Yes, sir. Yes, master. You're so great, Mr. Trump. You're everything. You're everything. Don't cancel our channels because, by the way, that's an issue I'm sorry I didn't finish on. So now they're going to go after, they got Jimmy Kimmel off by threatening the licenses, the on-air licenses. And now they're going to go after anybody that seems to be questioning or criticizing Trump and his administration. That's freedom of speech, baby, right there. Freedom ain't free. We're going to make you pay by kissing our ass every single day. Don't you dare criticize the king, the emperor, the god emperor of humanity. See the crown? Look at that picture. He sees the crown. And there's a halo. He's the god emperor. That's right. That's what you call insanity. But yeah, so whatever last vestiges of so-called freedom in the U.S. Is being stripped away at a very fast rate. And interesting, MAGA, is this what you voted for? I mean, seriously, this is what you voted for? It's like saying, oh, you know, the drugs from Venezuela are coming across, or the fentanyl's coming from Venezuela. Really? Let's see. Fentanyl is made in basements and basement laboratories. So if you want to make fentanyl, why the hell would you transfer it all the way from Venezuela? Even if you didn't have to risk getting your speedboat or your recreational boat whacked by the U.S. Without any due process. Why would you go there? The vast majority of fentanyl is made within 100 or less miles, or kilometers actually, 60 miles or less. Some are just across the border. I mean, quite literally, you make it in pouches, you walk up to that border fence that Trump has put up with the columns, the steel columns, and you just handed it over to your contacts from the other side. As they stand there, they take it, and then they go, they're ready in the U.S., and they deliver it to whomever distribution network you have, and hand you the money back over. Make a space in the middle of nowhere desert. There's plenty of them. For God's sakes, I don't have to cross the border anymore. I mean, this is where fentanyl is not something you carry in kilos, particularly. You know, here's 50 kilos of coke or heroin. No, this stuff is much more powerful in very small doses. But yeah, so this is ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. So is that what you voted for? Or is that what you're buying into? The Trump, they're bringing drugs from Venezuela that can be produced right across the U.S. border and handed right across the fence? I mean, seriously. Well, hell, even if it's a fence that you can't hand something through, it's called a drone. With the money, and back it goes. Welcome to technology, baby. Yeah, we've gotten that far, you know. But by the way, there was a advert on Rhein-Main Air Force Base from last July. Come see the U.S. Army drop its first grenade from a drone. Yeah. Yep, we're catching up. There you go. The U.S. military, for billions of dollars, is catching up to the stuff everybody's been dropping each other's heads in the Ukrainian conflict for the past 3.5 years. Almost 4 years now. It's amazing. It's just amazing. So there's so back to Ben Hodges. I mean, Mr. I've been wrong about everything. I mean, if he's actually been right about something, please let me know. Please let me know. In the comments, say, Stas, Hodges was right about this, or Hodges was right about that. By all means, please. Because as far as I know, this man is batting 100. 100 miserable points of being stupid. So Hodges has made a threat that, you know, if Russia attacked Poland in 2025, never mind why Russia would do that, but I guess you could do a false flag, black swan event. Why not? The U.S. has gotten itself into almost every war with a black swan event. Most of them absolutely faked and non-existent. But hey, don't read U.S. history. You're going to be disappointed if you're an American. Don't read real U.S. history, not the crap they teach you in high school. That myth-based, baked over 1% that they take out without context to make you feel good. Well, if you look through, you know, he's got, oh yeah, we could knock Kaliningrad out in a day and Sevastopol, and we just conquer Russia. This is from the same concept of, was it Clark, I think, he said, you know, we could conquer Russia on tanks within a week. You can friggin' drive across Russia in a car without any kind of obstacles in a week. Americans, for a relatively large country, I mean, America's not that small. You'd expect from pissant European countries, but Americans really can't get their heads around the sizes of Russia. It's beyond their comprehension for some reason. I've bumped into this so many times working in American companies and such after the army. I don't know why it's so difficult for them to understand size. It's an amazing thing to watch. I mean, for Italians or whoever, you understand, you literally can drive across most of Italy in one day. North-south, I'm talking about. I'm not even talking about east and west. But you can't, it's almost 600 kilometers from Moscow to St. Petersburg. You want to drive out east, it's about, just the Ural Mountains is about 2,000 kilometers. And that's less than a third of Russia. It is easier to fly from Russia to it takes the same time to fly from Moscow to Sakhalin, Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk, 10 hours, as it takes to fly to New York. And Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk is not the westernmost point, and you're not flying from the easternmost point. Sakhalinsk is not the easternmost point, and you're not flying from the westernmost point at that point. So yeah, it's that big. So yeah, Hodges, we could take out, we could take Kaliningrad in a day. If you use nuclear weapons, you could, of course. And Sevastopol, you could do it in a day. And Moscow, you could do it in a day. Of course, you're not going to exist by that point because the counter-strike is going to wipe out the West and turn it into a glass parking lot. But, yeah, no. But if you're talking about, okay, aviation strikes, yeah, you could do a lot of damage with aviation strike in that one day. You will have counter-strikes. You will have missiles coming down all over your airports and your military airports and your depots and your fuel depots. Just count on that. One of the things, by the way, Russia can do, since they can go quite deep underground, is take out any of those underground fuel storage and gas storage facilities. And think about the explosion rate the size of that one. You're not going to take Kaliningrad, even if it's only about 70 miles in width. It is a fortress. You're not going to take it in a day. You're not going to take it in a week. Unless you're fighting Russians that are back in the corner, you're going to be taking it at a very high cost. And you could probably say, if I had to guess, if you threw the entire Polish army into that meat grinder, at least half that Polish army would no longer be fit for duty, either corpses or missing body parts. I mean, that's the reality of it. But these are the thinking elements of the West that are the same type of people are the ones giving advice to Trump and to these senators and these representatives and these other members of parliament and so on. The same level of morons. So we get what we get now. All right. God bless. Have a good evening. Support if you can, by all means. See, I remembered this time. If you can support financially, please do. I will be very grateful. I got a Bitcoin wallet, and I do have a Patreon. So there's that. On the other hand, a great support is spreading the word, sharing, signing up if you haven't signed up. So growing the channel. Come out to my channel on Telegram. Stas was there. Just type that in and it'll pop up. Join there. And all of these get reposted there, so you can watch them there. Well, at least the links do to YouTube. And I do use that as a repository for my interviews, so I post them on YouTube just in case. I also back them up. So, I mean, hell, if YouTube canceled people with millions of subscribers, So anyways, we'll hope everything goes well and this doesn't become an issue ever. But life has its different moments. So God bless. Have fun. Be cheerful for the time you have on this earth. Yeah, we might all get nuked tomorrow, or we might drop dead tomorrow, or we might live to 150. It's all in God's hands in the end. Oh, and yours too, by the way. So make sure you're living well. Cheers. God bless.